Coming up on the show, from a ride to a career, Atlanta's housing authority is shifting gears. We're going to show you how a simple scooter could change the path to work. Also, neighborhoods erased, families displaced, and now a city commission wants to hear your voice. Find out how you can make your voice heard about reparations. And Atlanta's mornings are going to sound a little bit different. Yeah, we're going to talk to one of the city's more popular voices as he prepares to drop his mic. This is The Take. Let's get it. Hello and welcome. I'm Chesley McNeil, and this is The Take, where we go above and beyond the headlines and we look at the why and how stories are impacting you and your community. We invite the experts in to give their take on today's top stories as well, and we try to have just a little bit of fun. Let's start off with the forecast because it is an 11Alive weather impact alert day. You can see where we have the red highlighted day because of the showers and the thunderstorms that will be in the area. It started last night. We saw it heavy at times around the area as well, and we'll get more of that today. I know it's been a while since we've had some very heavy rain to talk about or even to drive through or walk through. And so, yeah, we want to alert you about that today, folks. There will be a few embedded thunderstorms. One or two of those could be on the strong severe side. And so we want you to be alert about that as well. Mainly east of the city is where you're going to find that. There is a marginal risk or a level 1 threat for this afternoon. And so please be alert of that. We'll keep the chance for the showers in the forecast for tomorrow, which is Friday, and then things will start to settle down as we head through the upcoming weekend. All right, this week, President Trump took to the stage at the United Nations General Assembly with a forceful message, blasting the body for what he called inaction and empty words. In nearly an hour-long speech, he rejected global climate and migration agendas, urging countries to shut down their borders, and warned against what he described as global overreach. The president also asked delegates a pointed question about the mere existence of the UN.
What is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war.
The sharp rebuke is stirring a debate around the world and raising new questions about America's commitment to global cooperation and international law. Joining us now is Georgia State law professor Monica Iyer, who specializes in international law and human rights. Monica, welcome to the show.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's start off with the president's question. Right off the bat, he says, what is the purpose of the UN?
Yeah, so I think the purpose of the UN is to provide a place for countries to come together to try and solve global problems, right? It was created in the aftermath of the terrible events of World War II, when countries really started to recognize that, look, we have all of these issues. We're increasingly in a world that is intertwined. The actions that we take in one country affect what's happening in another. We can't really go it on our own to solve some of these things, and we need a place that we can come together and solve them.
Yeah. And from a legal and human rights perspective, how damaging are the remarks that were made by the president for the UN's credibility of the UN?
So the international system is always a system that's a mix of law and politics. And so from a legal perspective, this doesn't change a lot legally, but from a political perspective, there's a lot of questions, I think, raised about the ways that the U.S. is going to keep interacting with other countries in the future, the things that other countries can do without the U.S.'s support, recognizing that there are collective problems that still need to be solved, whether the U.S. under the Trump administration wants to be a part of those solutions or not. Yeah. And certainly addressing human rights issues is one of those questions that we have raised by this. Addressing climate change is another. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty right now.
Does a speech like this or talk like this kind of hurt the UN's ability to bring countries together with those topics that you mentioned, like global climate change and migration or war?
So the speech is a symptom or an indicator of the broader approach the Trump administration has been taking to global engagement, which is very much a pulling back from the idea of global engagement, from the idea of multilateralism, that we can work together to solve these global problems. And so this speech is not, I think, in and of itself so much of an issue, although it does potentially aggravate tensions with allies in particular, but it is just one in a series of sort of more concrete actions that the Trump administration has been taking, including pulling out of global agreements like the Paris Climate Agreement, including refusing to fund various United Nations agencies, including refusing to participate in processes that every country in the world participates in, like the Universal Periodic Review, which is this human rights exercise that every country in the world goes through, and which the Trump administration went through in its during the first Trump administration, but this year they're refusing to participate. And so I think all of those things taken together really send a signal that the United States is an unreliable partner in trying to address some of these shared global concerns.
You mentioned our allies. Has this been done before? I don't know, Monica, if you can answer this, but have we seen this before, and the effect of it on our allies?
And we've certainly seen the U.S. vary in its commitment to global action and vary in its commitment to getting our allies on board for the kinds of actions that we want to take, right? And so I think back to the invasion of Iraq, for example, is a time when the U.S. took some actions that we managed to get some of our allies on board with, but not all of them. And so there was a period where there was a sense of a bit of crisis around international law, around the idea that the U.S. was sort of exerting power and going on its own. But I think, even in that time, there were still more efforts. There was still not the complete repudiation of the global system that you see right now. And that's why you see people who were very strongly sort of opposed to and condemning international law during the George W. Bush administration, like John Yoo, who are now condemning Trump's actions as being contrary to international law.
Gotcha. Monica Iyer, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your insight this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, not a problem. Folks, don't go anywhere. We got plenty more show for you coming up right after the break. Investigators continue searching for a motive after a man opened fire yesterday on an Immigration and Customs Enforcement field office in Dallas. The Department of Homeland Security says one of the detainees was killed and 2 others critically injured in the sniper attack. The shooter is also dead. Joining us now is NBC Washington correspondent Alice Barr with the latest on the investigation. And Alice, the FBI is calling this attack one of targeted violence. What sort of evidence are they collecting to back all that up?
Yeah, so this is still important to note, an investigation in its early stages, and there's been no declarative statements about what the motive is here, but there are some pretty compelling pieces of evidence, the biggest one being that investigators released an image of bullet casings that were found near the suspected gunman after he died by suicide. And those bullet casings, one of them has the words anti-ICE etched right onto the casing. So that, is something certainly that investigators are pointing to as a sign that the shooter here was motivated by desire to cause harm to ICE agents. Notable that NBC News did speak with the brother of the alleged shooter. 29-year-old Joshua John is the name of the alleged shooter. His brother told NBC News that he didn't have strong feelings about ICE and wasn't interested in politics on either side as far as he knew. But Vice President J.D. Vance also said that there's more evidence that has not yet been made public that makes clear that this was the intent of the shooting.
Alice, do we know anything about the victims who were shot?
Not very much at this point, and we've been pressing for more information about that. The victims' names have not yet been released, though the Mexican consulate in Dallas says that one of the two critically injured detainees is a Mexican national. Consulate officials said that they had contacted the victim's family to offer support and legal advice.
Yeah. This attack is being denounced by many lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, and the president is pointing fingers at the Democrats. Talk about the White House's tone of this rhetoric.
Yeah, President Trump very clearly is placing the blame on Democrats. He had a lengthy post on social media where he said, quote, "I am calling on all Democrats to stop this rhetoric against ICE and America's law enforcement right now." When we've heard similar messages from a number of leading Republicans. J.D. Vance was very forceful in saying that Democrats who have been referencing ICE as something along the lines of Nazis or Gestapo, that needs to stop, that is a contributing factor here. Republican Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, he spoke at one of the press conferences yesterday, shortly after the shooting. He said, quote, "To every politician who is using rhetoric demonizing ICE and demonizing CBP," that's Customs and Border Protection, that they need to stop. So there's a very clear message coming from the right that they believe that language on the left is at fault here. There are also numerous members of the left, members of the Democratic Party, who have come forward and said that this violence is completely unacceptable, and that what is very clearly a rise in political violence that's targeting people of all political stripes, that absolutely needs to be condemned, no matter who is the victim of it and no matter which side it's coming from. I also want to note that there was a Dallas pastor who has been praying with other clergy members outside of Dallas ICE headquarters, calling for justice for migrants, speaking out against violence, and he is now speaking out against the shooting, saying it couldn't be more opposite to the kind of message that he's been trying to be witness to along with other clergy members there. So speaking about some of the kind of demonstrations that we have seen against ICE and trying to put that in context, at least in his instance, is it's something that he says is completely opposed to violence and completely opposed, therefore, as well, to this kind of a shooting.
All right, Alice, thanks so much for the information. Really appreciate it. All right, when we come back, we're going to continue our conversation about those events that took place in Dallas just yesterday. Stay with us. As we were just discussing, yesterday's gunfire at an ICE facility in Dallas was no accident. A bullet casing marked anti-ICE was found by investigators, and it's raising fears in the immigration enforcement is now a direct target. Here to help make sense of this and the meaning for asylum seekers and immigrant community is we're joined by Anton Flores Masonette, the executive director of Casa Alterna, a ministry based right here in Decatur. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Anton, when you first heard about this attack on a Dallas facility, what went through your mind as someone who works very closely with immigrant families?
Well, actually, not just when, but where I first heard about it as I and a group of volunteers were standing outside the Atlanta ICE field office. It was actually ICE officers who encouraged us to leave, informing us that there had been a shooting at the Dallas facility. Our team of volunteers compassionately place themselves there outside the gates of the ICE field office each and every morning as anywhere from 20 to 80 immigrants stand outside the gates, all in removal proceedings. And so we try to stand there in solidarity and in support with those individuals that are there.
Yeah, how does an incident like this heighten the sense of fear and vulnerability for asylum seekers that are already trying to navigate an uncertain type of system here?
Well, what was interesting yesterday is, again, that our volunteers were informed about the shooting and we were encouraged and compassionately encouraged to leave, but nothing changed in terms of the way ICE conducted its business at the Atlanta field office. They did not close their building. They did not usher the individuals who were there to do their ICE check-ins indoors or ask them to leave. It was only our volunteers. But I can say that even prior to this, I mean, the climate outside the Atlanta field office is one where the anxiety and the fear is palpable. I mean, you can just tell that the current policies and tactics of this administration have led to heightened fear and anxiety amongst immigrant communities.
Yeah, we know that one of the injured was a Mexican national. How do moments like this ripple through the immigrant communities right here in Georgia?
I find that most immigrants hold to the very ideals that we as Americans claim to espouse. No one wants violence. No one wants to see violence escalate on any side of the spectrum. But immigrants also know that they are in the literal crosshairs of political violence as it deals with policies, laws, and a lot of anti-immigrant rhetoric. And what we're seeing as the increase, not just dehumanization, but demonization of immigrants.
Yeah. Do you think attack like this will complicate the debate between immigration enforcement and human rights?
I hope not. I mean, I've always held to a Kingian nonviolence perspective. We are out there trying to humanize. And so I think that what is needed on all sides of the equation right now is to definitely end the demonization of individuals and the dehumanization of groups of people. But what we do need to have an honest discussion about are what are the root causes of migration? What are the forces of displacement that is happening around the world? And how do we, as a nation built by immigrants and a nation that purports to be based on democracy, how do we show to the world a model of what it looks like to be an interdependent, coexisting, nation states, rather than scapegoating the most vulnerable around the world, who are often the ones that are the victims of displacement from their home countries, and then dehumanization, and now increasingly demonization in our own country.
Yeah, that was in Dallas. You know the climate here. Do you now think that something like that could happen here?
Something like that could happen anywhere in the United States, so long as both ends of the political spectrum continue to demonize immigrants and dehumanize and fail to address the root causes of migration. But that being said, my faith teaches me, and my commitment to immigrants teach me that this is not the time to cower in fear. This is the exact opposite. This is the time for us to stand on the side of love. Our tagline is "Love crosses borders," and so when we were asked to leave the ICE office yesterday, we chose to stay there so long as there were immigrants still outside the field office. And I think that's an important posture, because if we, as just general citizens, begin to react to the news of this with fear, then hate wins. But if we stand on the side of love and we come off our sofas and we get onto the streets and we demonstrate a humanizing posture, I would love to see that be the force that compels us forward and moves us out of this increasingly polarized climate on both sides of the political equation.
Yeah. Anton Flores Masonette, thanks so much for your insight. Thanks for joining us today, okay?
Thank you.
All right, coming up after the break, new opportunities through transportation. Stay tuned for this story coming up. Welcome back to the show. Atlanta Housing is rolling out something new, scooters that don't just get you to work, they are creating work. It's a first of its kind partnership giving residents cheaper rides and real job opportunities, all aimed at helping families move forward. Here to tell us more about this partnership is Kelly English, Chief of Staff for Atlanta Housing. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, what makes this partnership the first of its kind for the nation, and why did Atlanta Housing want to lead the way?
Well, I'll tell you, here in Atlanta, we have this phrase that we love that says Atlanta influences everything. And so, as you know, Atlanta is the birthplace of affordable housing. Atlanta is also the home city of the first site where African Americans were allowed to reside in public housing. Atlanta is also the innovator of mixed income public housing. And now, as of yesterday, Atlanta is influencing everything again. We are the first city to pair affordable housing with micromobility.
And how does it work for us? Tell us how it works.
Yes, absolutely. So for the 27,000 families that Atlanta Housing serves, we're talking about roughly 43,000 people. They all have access to deeply discounted codes with Bird. So you know Bird as the e-scooter and e-bike company that you've seen around as people are moving around on the Beltline, taking that last mile to MARTA or to their offices. And so now Atlanta Housing residents will be able to join them in those streets with 50% off as registered Atlanta housing residents with Bert through their access program. In addition, we have 10 designated zones that are adjacent to Atlanta housing properties where they don't even have to be registered. If they initiate their ride from one of those zones, there's an automatic 20% discount from there. And that's not even the part that excites me the most. The best part is that our residents will now have access to jobs with the Bird Company. They will be hosting quarterly job fairs for our residents where we can get them on the path to self-sufficiency through programs like being Bird ambassadors, participating in their maintenance and repair program, joining the Bird Street team. So we are calling this our Ride to Work program, and we literally mean that. We've got rides for our residents, we've got work for our residents, and we are incredibly grateful to Bird for their partnership.
Sounds very exciting. You mentioned 50% off, and you mentioned another 20% off. Realistically, how much will this save, the discount ride will save a person each month?
Well, let me put it to you this way. The average family in Atlanta housing residents have an income of $17,000. So we are literally talking about people who are making decisions about whether or not to pay their rent, whether or not to eat food. These are not both ands, these are if ors, right? And so if we can cut down any savings, if we can keep any money in their pockets and get them to work, to doctor's appointments, to a grocery store that may not be walkable, it's not even about financial savings. We're really talking about life savings here.
Yeah. Do you have a ballpark figure of how many residents you expect to benefit from this?
Yeah, so our hope is that they will all participate. They are all eligible, whether you live in an Atlanta housing property or whether you live throughout the city as part of our Housing Choice program. If you are a participant with Atlanta Housing, you are eligible. And so my hope is that any resident on the other side of my voice who is watching this interview, I hope that you will see this. I hope that you will join us on October 9th at Roosevelt Hall. We will be registering residents. We will be signing them up for the program and getting them in the pipeline for the job fair. So my hope is that I can come back to you next year and tell you that we had 27,000 families moving around on Bird e-bikes and scooters.
I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to hold you to it.
All right, let's do it.
All right, Kelly English, thanks so much for joining us. And thanks. Much success to your program. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, take care now. All right, with an 11Alive Weather Impact Alert Day and closing in on the anniversary of Helene moving through our area, it's only right that we talk to the meteorologist at the National Weather Service. They'll be talking to us coming up. And after the break, we're going to speak about the possibility of reparations in the city of Atlanta. You want to stay tuned for that. Welcome back to the show. Atlanta's taking a closer look at its own history and how the city should address the lingering impacts from slavery and systematic racism. The Atlanta Reparations Study Commission, created by City Council, is holding a couple of community forums and documenting how African American neighborhoods were erased and displaced over the city's 150-year history. Joining us now is Council Member Michael Julian Bond, who authored legislation behind the commission. He joins us now to talk about what reparations could look like here in Atlanta. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you and good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You know, when people hear the word reparations in Atlanta, it can mean a lot of different things. What's the one message you want our viewers to take away about the process and what it's about?
Well, thank you for allowing me to explain that. You're right. Reparations means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What it means in this context is what has this particular municipality done in the past that may have adversely affected the African American community that is addressable within the powers of this municipality. You know, this isn't about, giving everybody a check or, something of that nature that people would pursue, let's say perhaps like the Japanese community received from the federal government. This is how this committee is formed to say, how can the city of Atlanta address the descendants or the residents of this city who were actually harmed by some action that the city government proper participated in since the end of chattel slavery in America.
Mm-hmm. Councilman Bond, why is now the right time for Atlanta to take on this kind of work?
Well, it's actually 150 years potentially past time to take on this type of work. After the Civil War ended You know, the persons who held slaves received reparations after the end of the Civil War. There have been many groups in history around the world that have received reparations for their maltreatment by those governing authorities that participated in it. This has been an issue that's actually been around for decades. And so now the conversation has come to the fore where this is a movement across the country where other cities, other counties, other townships, other parishes have set up similar commissions to try to ameliorate the harm that was caused in the past. And they've done things like creating home ownership programs, giving people incentives for education, and other economic opportunities that within the power of those governments that they're able to address. And that's why this committee is impaneled to see, what happened and then what can subsequently be recommended to be done to ameliorate what happened in the past.
Yeah. Some critics out there say the process raises expectations that the city may not be able to meet. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's why we impaneled the commission. We don't, like I said, reparations itself conjures up so many different ideas and aspects about what reparations might be. And understanding that we are a municipality that is created by the state of Georgia, we're a government that can do a lot, but we're also a government that's limited a lot. And so this board is impaneled to look at what are the powers of the city of Atlanta, what is the history that would happen, and underneath those powers of the city, what can be recommended that can actually be done that a city in Georgia could accomplish. And those are the recommendations that we will go with. And that's part of why we're having the public hearing, so that we can put out the ideas, take in recommendations from citizens, and also set expectations about what is realistic for the city of Atlanta to be able to do.
All right, Councilman Bond, really appreciate you joining us. Really appreciate you for the information that you shared with us this morning.
All right, thank you for having me today.
Not a problem at all. All right, if you want to go to the forum, it's tonight from 5 to 8 p.m. at Atlanta City Council Hall. It'll be in the council chambers. This evening includes public sessions. They'll have expert discussions and a reception to all that come. All right, take a live look here at DeKalb County, and it looks cloudy. It almost looks like a painting right there. Some low-level cloudiness in the area, and if you look right there in the center of the picture or the live camera there, you can see a little bit of blue breaking through. I do think we will see some breaks in the clouds a little bit today, get some sunshine in, but expect more rain to pop up as well. Today is the day we finally look at into getting soaked. We haven't had a whole lot of rain here as of late, and so it's a welcome sight in some regards, but also the threat for some severe weather could be around as well. Ty Vaughn with the National Weather Service out of Peachtree City joins us now. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
Hey, good morning.
All right, talk to us about today's weather. I mean, we've been dry here, and now we got some rain coming in, and even though that's a welcome thing, it could be very hazardous as well, right?
It could be, yeah. We have been pretty dry, so we can definitely take the rain. We're expecting to see 1 to 2 inches of rain over the next 2 days. We could see some thunderstorms today, but they'll be relatively scattered, and the Storm Prediction Center has backed off the potential for severe weather. But a few of those storms could be strong with gusty winds and maybe some small hail.
Yeah, we saw we tied a record yesterday, right? 93 degrees was the high temperature yesterday, and now we're going to finally start to see those temperatures drop. Can we hold on to the hopes that now that we're in the fall that maybe this will stick around?
Well, it is September, so the odds are looking pretty good statistically, but there's no way we can count out maybe a few more days of 90-degree temperatures in late September or early October. It is the South.
It is the South. You're absolutely right about that. Hopefully, again, it stays that way. We got football now. We're getting closer to Halloween. Yeah, we wanted to stay that way. And let me take you back a little bit. A year ago, almost to the date, right? Tomorrow, Helene moved through our area. Still feeling some of the impacts. Take us back a little bit to that particular storm.
Yeah, so Helene caused plenty of damage, as I'm sure everybody is still kind of dealing with some of the aftermath. The storm debris that goes all the way from the Georgia coast up to the Carolina mountains could create an especially interesting hazard this fall as we move into our wildfire season. So plenty of things to still look at as far as the potential for ongoing effects from Helene. But one of the strongest storms to hit our CWA in the past 20 years. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know, we had a pretty benign hurricane season, if you will, up into the peak. And now we're starting to see things get active, right? A couple storms out there maybe moving closer to the United States.
Yeah, so we have Invest 94, which is potential tropical storm or potential tropical cyclone, Imelda. That has a 90% chance of formation in the next 7 days off of the Atlantic coast. There's a lot of uncertainty of what that storm is going to do, especially with the storm coming up behind it, Humberto. So we're really going to be paying attention to what the NHC says. We have special weather balloon soundings that we're expected to go until the 27th to kind of get a taste of the atmosphere and see what things are going to do. So stay tuned.
Yeah, Ty, it could get pretty active around our forecast area. Now, I guess in the immediate future, once we get past this rain right here, we're sitting okay, right? At least for the start of the work week.
It'll kind of depend on what the tropics does.
Yeah.
Any additional rain outside of this cold front is going to be probably tropical driven. So, but then after that, yep, we're looking at another dry period.
All right, there you go, man. And typically, real quick, you obviously would ask the hydrologist this, but this is typically the dry season for us, right? Typically, the month of September and October are typically our driest months. Is that right?
Yeah, so if we do get any kind of drought buster or it does break up the dry season, it's usually going to be tropical and driven. So,
yeah. Okay.
But yeah, this is not too far out of the realm of ordinary for us, especially for this time of year. But those rains will come back, beginning November and into December. So
any hints, and I got folks around here ask me this all the time. Any hints as we get closer to winter of what type of winter it would be? You want to give away anything?
I don't have anything to give away for you. If I had anything serious, I would probably write a book on it and have it work with the National Weather Service.
Ty, they put me on the spot, man. I got to do the same to you. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, hard to predict what will be taking place based on what we already had. It's hard for people to really understand that. But thanks so much for your insight. Thanks so much for everything that you shared with us today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for the invite.
All right, Ty Vaughan with the National Weather Service right there, Peachtree City. Thanks again. All right, don't go anywhere, folks. CNN's Maribel Aber is going to show us or talk to us about how our money matters right after the break. Welcome back to the show. Possible new import fees could reshape robotics and medical devices. CNN's Maribel Aber joins us now from the NASDAQ market site in New York. Maribel, this is raising fresh questions about global supply chains.
Good morning, Chesley. It is. The Trump administration is opening a federal investigation into imports of robotics, industrial machinery, and medical devices. The Commerce Department says it will assess whether those imports threaten national security. And if risks are found, new duties could be imposed on items like wheelchairs, pacemakers, insulin pumps, and prescription drugs. Commerce officials are asking companies to provide their projected need for affected medical products and if domestic supply can cover it. Hospitals and trade groups warn the move could drive up costs for patients and manufacturers. Chesley, they also caution the added expense may affect the quality of care.
Don't want to hear about prices going up. Don't want to hear about it. Don't want to hear about that. All right, when it comes to Aldi's, they got a new labeling badge going on?
They do. Hopefully then the prices go down, right? So grocery chain Aldi announced sweeping changes to its product line. It will reduce the number of in-house brands from 90 to 26. Those that remain will be consolidated under a singular Aldi brand label. The company says popular brands like Clancy's and Simple Nature will stay, but will now include an Aldi original label as well. Aldi COO says the change reflects customer feedback, adding that most shoppers already refer to any products in the store as the Aldi brand. Chesley.
Okay, cool there. All right. So we understand that the retail chain Michael's is looking to throw more parties, and that could actually help out or give a second life to Joann's?
Okay, so Michael's is unveiling several new changes to bring in customers. It will revive the once popular Joann name with a new store within a store concept. Michael's acquired all of Joann's intellectual property in June after the fabric store's collapse. The new Joann Knit and Sew shop will appear in all of Michael's U.S. and Canadian locations. It's currently up and running in 840 stores with another 250 in the coming months. So customers can also find the Joann products online through Michael's website. And the chain is expanding their selection of party supplies, including in-store parties for kids that start under $150. The company CEO says, Chesley, their goal is to fill that void left behind the Party City when they went out of business.
Okay, yeah, where there's a void, there could be an opportunity. I understand that. All right, someone in Missouri just went from just another customer to somebody with a jackpot, right? What do we know about this new multi-millionaire?
A self-described homebody has stepped forward to claim a record Powerball jackpot. Chesley, the Missouri man, won half of a $1.8 billion jackpot after the September 6th drawing. He's taking a one-time cash payout of $410 million. That's according to the Lottery Commission. Yeah, the Quick Trip where he bought the ticket will get a $50,000 bonus.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
The ticket holder says he plans to take time off and enjoy the experience with his wife. He called his win the best problem he's ever had. Look, Chesley, the Lottery Commission didn't release his name, which is probably smart because he'd have an even bigger problem, right? I'd change his phone number.
Yeah.
What kind of cousins I got out there?
Right.
He needs, Chesley, a good team. He needs a tax attorney, he needs a financial advisor, and needs to lay low.
Yeah, somebody needs to let him know he needs a meteorologist, and he can call me.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. He needs a meteorologist in his life, you know. That'll protect him from the rain, at least, you know, something.
There you go.
Snow
And
in
maybe I'll talk
Missouri.
about money.
Absolutely. All right, Maribel, thanks so much
We're
for
the
joining.
team. See you tomorrow.
Take care. All right, coming up on the show, a local morning DJ on the Atlanta Airways is hanging up his headphones. We're going to talk to Bert from The Bert Show coming up right after the break.
This industry has been so good to me. You guys have been so good to me. This radio station has been so good to me. But after 25 years, I am at peace with leaving radio. And with that, the Bert Show is going to come to an end on October 24th.
Wow. That was on Tuesday when Atlanta DJ Bert Weiss announced that he was stepping away from the microphone and hanging up his headphones. He's been a part of Atlanta mornings for a long time, 2.5 decades of laughter, honesty, and conversations that helped shape the rhythm of the city. And Bert, he's joining us right now. Take a look at, reflect on what has been and what the future holds for him. Bert, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, Chesley, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Sad moment for me, at least. We shared a lot.
Yeah.
When you look back at the start of the Bert Show, that was back in 2001, did you ever imagine that it would be this big and long lasting?
Oh my God, no, man. When we signed on, this signal Q100 was a brand new signal in Atlanta from Anniston, Alabama. We literally had 0 listeners, and we had 3,000 watts. Now, the biggest radio stations in Atlanta and the United States have like 50,000 watts. We had 3,000. So to give you an idea of how small our signal was, the radio station is in Sandy Springs, and I live in Sandy Springs, about 3 miles from the radio station, and I couldn't set my radio alarm to this radio station because I couldn't get it in my house. That's how bad it was.
Wow.
So I would have never thought that after all these years we'd still be here.
Yeah. I mean, how did you come to this particular decision? I mean, obviously, the business is changing a lot. I don't know if that has something to do with it, but how did you come to this decision?
The decision to take off from radio?
Yes.
I just felt like, after 25 years, I sort of have always lived this life of performance, even before I was in radio. I think my self-worth a lot of times, Chesley, most times has come from adulation. So it makes a lot of sense that I got into radio, into a field where it's ratings and now it's about likes and all that. And I kind of feel like I'm shedding a new skin at this point in my life. And I just don't get the same juice out of that. And I'm looking for something a little bit more authentic for myself, to be honest with you.
Wow. A lot of people would disagree with you. You know that.
About which part?
About you leaving, about you shedding a new skin. They want you to stick around, man.
Yeah, I thought about it for a while, and this is something I've been thinking about for a while. And while I do love performing, especially with this cast, man, I mean, this is one of the greatest jobs. I mean, I get paid to come in here and make jokes and hang out with my friends. But I just think that, I'm 58 years old. My real love is traveling, and I'm young enough now to where I can travel and I can do all the things I want to do. I can hike, I can swim, I can go wherever I want. And I just thought the longer that I do this, as you get older, it's more challenging to do stuff like that. So I want to go live life on my terms, and that's what this is really allowing me to do.
What do you think made your show so unique, right, compared to other morning drives?
Yeah, I think that we were really authentic. We were vulnerable, and we were talking about things in our lives that were kind of messy. We were having a really great time and doing really stupid radio things. But I think outside of that, I think being vulnerable and having real talks about divorce, about co-parenting, about troubles with drug use, maybe alcohol, race relations. We have been open to talking about it all, and I think that was pretty unique at the time.
Yeah, you've interviewed countless celebrities. Who surprised you the most, good or bad?
That's always a really great question. I will tell you the one that has had the most impact on me now has been Usher.
Wow.
Last time we had him in, the first time Usher and I had an interview together, it got very contentious, long story. But 20 years later, he comes in the studio, shakes my hand and says, I just want to let you know, after that very first interview that we had all those years ago, Joe was sort of a contributing factor to one of the greatest albums ever in all-time history.
Wow. Wow. See, you've had effect on many people's lives, man. You know, I don't know if you remember this or not, but when I first came here, and I came in 2009, I said on the air, Hot Atlanta. And you were the first person to call me and say, hey, we don't call it Hot Atlanta anymore. just to let you know, if you're going to be around, we don't call it Hot Atlanta anymore. And here we are. right? You had me on the show
I do remember that. Man, we had a campaign to stop saying Hot Atlanta, and clearly it did not work, Chesley.
Well, you helped me out, because I've never said it again, and I'm still here. Still here. Man, we are really going to miss you. Now, you said your show you're going to be on until when? October when?
October 24th is going to be our last day. You
got some big stuff planned between now and then?
I'll be honest with you. These guys have a lot of surprises. The last thing that I wanted was like a month-long victory lap. The things that I really wanted for the last month of this show was to take a lot of calls and read DMs and stuff from people that we've really had an effect on. I think when you do something this long, you want to know that it's been more than just laughs and superficial. Like, how have we changed people's lives? And for 25 years, you know, with Bert's Big Adventure and so many other things that we've done around Atlanta and Georgia, that's really what I want to focus on, is how we have really helped people in their day-to-day. Yeah, we're going to get a lot of calls for that. I can tell you that right now. Bert, really appreciate you, man, and all that you've done for my career. You can still call me, even though you're not going to be on the air, about winter weather. You can call me. I'll let you know. I will wake up in the morning and go, dude, I'm about to go for a run. What's the weather look like this morning in Sandy Springs? So I got you. Don't invite me, because I'll do it. I got you. You're my man. Thanks a lot, Bert. Really appreciate it, man. Thanks for all you've done for our community as well, and all that you're going to continue to do. Thank you for everything also, Chesley. You've been great. All right. Take care, man. All right, folks, we're going to have another look at the forecast when we return, plus my final take right after this. An 11Alive weather impact alert today for the rain, folks. Not so much for severe weather. That'll be very isolated at best for us today, but it will be on the soggy side. So take your time out there. Rain could get heavy at times, and maybe even a gust of wind with one or two of those thunderstorms. So be very, very careful. The rain will continue tomorrow by the morning, and then by the afternoon, just a few isolated showers around. That could happen on Saturday as well, and then we'll clear it out for the latter half of the weekend going into next week. Another sign that computers are taking over. Yep, Major League Baseball has announced that they will be using robot umpires for the 2026 baseball season. Oh boy. Yeah, they're not replacing the human plate umpires, at least not yet. The real umpires will continue to call balls and strikes, but teams have an opportunity to challenge at least 2 calls per game. The latest statistics show that human umpires are currently 94% correct when they call balls and strikes. That's pretty good, right? So why the need for robots? Well, according to the league, it will cut back on players and coaches being ejected from the game. 61.5% of the players and managers and coaches are ejected from the game related to the calls of balls and strikes. And that's high. This year was just as high, about 60.3%. So although it may lead to managers and coaches stop throwing equipment at the umpires and on the field, my question remains, folks, how long will it be before robots take over the entire game? I'm not looking forward to that at all, but maybe this will help out with some of the arguments that go on. I like some of those too, don't you? That's all we got for you today, folks. Make it a great one. Make sure you take your rain gear if you're going to be going out today. We'll have that rain heavy at times off and on. Enjoy.